Hi everyone, so I'm going to talk about service design. So the first thing is that service design is not designing a service. A service can be quite specific, could be one use case or it could be one channel, whereas service design is a little bit broader than that. The next thing people do ask is, isn't service design UX? Short answer is no, it isn't. And actually it's a little bit longer in terms of the actual answer. It's a holistic process. We're trying to think about the end user, and we're thinking about all the touch points they go through. We're thinking about the end-to-end experience. We're thinking about all the human touch points and across all channels, and also all the systems, processes, and operations that are involved in delivering that service or product to that customer or that user. The example I'm going to go through is very much about a retail experience, but we're talking about all users, not just customers. We're talking about citizens. So in the case of HMRC and so forth. So to kind of take the information as more holistic again. So there's a really nice quote by this lady called Sophia Gomez, and I'll read it out to you. So UX design is like looking after one tree, whereas service design would be akin to tending to an entire garden. And that's a nice way of looking at it, because you're trying to think about the bigger picture the whole time. You think about the experience of the entire ecosystem rather than just focusing on one moving part and trying to make that as perfect as possible. So if we think about design and design systems, and we think about how design works, you've got 2D design, 3D design, you've got interaction design, and then you've got ecosystems and services, right? So it's quite hard to kind of understand all of this without context. So if I think about what these mean here, you've got your 2D systems, which is visual design, information design, 3D is products or industrial design, so architecture as well. You get into any scale really, and then interactions is where we start coming in doing UX design, interaction design. And lastly, you've got the ecosystems, and this is where we're talking about broader service design and business and organizational design as well. So to bring this to life, I'm going to go through an example, and it's the John Lewis Topher's proposition that I worked on probably about four years ago or something like that. And in this instance, we were looking to improve the end-to-end customer experience really for online, but I took that and turned it into a service design project, and we wanted to improve not only the customer experience, but also the employee experience in store, and also foster a better relationship between all the silos that worked within the business, right? So you've got lots of different departments that are involved in delivering that product or service to our customers, but they weren't talking to each other, right? So we were trying to improve that as well. So on the 2D perspective, we had our 2D designers that didn't talk to anybody else, and they'd go off and design nice swing tickets and so forth. And I'd work with them to make sure it actually made sense. So people didn't understand that delivery within 7 days wasn't just that particular sofa in that color, that one on the shelf. It was they thought there was anything on the shelf, or sorry, on the storefront. So these things weren't clear, so I was helping them actually change the way they approach the information design, even at the 2D level there. So then the next one you've got is 3D design. So this is the actual furniture designers that we had within John Lewis. Again, we did some work with them to ensure they understood that customers didn't understand style. Everything is subjective. What they want to do is buy something they like. It doesn't matter if it's mid-century. It doesn't matter if it's eclectic or whatever. They just need to know they like it. So there was a little bit of an education piece to understand how customers think and work around their needs, rather than creating really beautiful pieces of furniture and not necessarily understanding where they would fit in the customer's home. Then you've got interaction design. So we worked a lot on the UI and UX on the mobile and desktop side, and how that interaction might work. So it's easier, a nicer process, and much easier to scan and actually feel like you're going through a brochure and working your way towards a product that you like, and then customizing it. The last thing, which is probably the most important, and because this talks about that, is the idea of the service design aspect. And so you've got thinking about the entire ecosystem, but the way to do that, and you may have heard this before, is this idea of the theatre analogy, right? So you've got front of stage, you've got backstage. Front of stage is where your customer or your audience is experiencing whatever you want them to experience. You're delivering a product or service to them on this side of the fence, let's say. Behind the stage, you've got lots of things going on. A lot of these things are processes and systems that need to be in place for that experience to work. But the customer doesn't see this, or the user doesn't see this. It's invisible to them, but without what's happening in backstage, nothing will happen front stage. So we have to ensure the experience for employees and anyone working within backstage, and the processes they use, is working efficiently and effectively and seamlessly, so that they can deliver a seamless experience to the front end, right? So for us, that meant front stage, we wanted to ensure that contact centers knew exactly what were the key queries that customers had, and to have their scripts ready. We wanted the shop staff to know that customers could order samples online. We wanted the online support, online product information to support what customers knew from store, but also know where they could find that product, in which store to try that product out, or also when it might be available for delivery. And everything, is around the customer in terms of what they're after, and the employee experience. Also, we worked on having that same experience from online, supporting the in-store experience there. And then, of course, you've got things like the last mile and delivery. On the other side, you have all the things that would be needed in order for that front of stage experience to work. So you've got the online program working, you've got the systems such as GCP, you've got the buying, trade, you've got fabric selection, sofa designers and makers working together, and then you've got logistics as well. So some of the artifacts we would create would be customer journey maps and mind maps and so forth to try and get that experience. I mean, I'm probably running over, but the last thing I kind of want to leave you with is that don't think narrow, think broad, and tend to your client's whole garden and not just their prize tree they want to focus on. So try and sell them the bigger picture. I think that will work. Thank you.